Hello everyone, welcome to the Book Review Crew. We're thrilled to have you here, joining us in our shared love for literature. Our mission? To dive into the world of stories, offering you insightful, spoiler-free reviews of a diverse range of books. Whether you're a fan of mystery, romance, sci-fi, or fantasy, we've got something for everyone. So sit back, relax, and let us guide you through the endless landscape of literature. Today we've got a thrilling book to discuss. Buckle up for an exciting ride. Our book for today is the gripping thriller 20 Years Later. Penned by the master of suspense, this tale plunges us into a world of intrigue and nail-biting tension. As we turn the pages, we find ourselves in the heart of a city that never sleeps, a city shrouded in secrets and haunted by a past that refuses to fade. The author does a remarkable job of crafting a story that is as complex as it is compelling. We're introduced to a myriad of characters, each more intriguing than the last. At the center of it all, we have our protagonist, a seasoned detective with a haunted past, who finds himself embroiled in a mystery that dates back 2 decades. The narrative is rich, the setting is atmospheric, and the characters are meticulously developed. 20 Years Later promises a thrilling ride packed with twists and turns you won't see coming. Without further ado, let's dive into the non-spoiler plot summary. What happens when the past comes back to haunt you? That's the premise of 20 Years Later. This gripping thriller takes us on a journey like no other, weaving a complex tale of mystery, suspense, and unexpected revelations. So, buckle up, and let's dive into this non-spoiler plot summary. Our protagonist is an ordinary individual, living a quiet life away from the hustle and bustle of the city. Then, suddenly a letter arrives. It's a letter from the past, a letter that holds secrets that were buried 2 decades ago. And just like that, our protagonist's life is turned upside down. The quiet life is no more, and in its place is a world filled with shadows and questions. The story then unfolds in a series of flashbacks and present-day events as the protagonist grapples with the reality of the past. The narrative is cleverly crafted, keeping us on the edge of our seats as we navigate through a labyrinth of uncertainty and suspense. The author masterfully explores the theme of how the past can shape and influence the present. We're also given a glimpse into the human psyche and how guilt and fear can manifest in the most unexpected ways. The writing style is crisp and engaging, with every page offering a new twist or turn. The characters are well developed, each with their unique backstories that add depth to the plot. And as the story progresses, we're left guessing until the very end. In 20 Years Later, nothing is as it seems. The past is a maze, and every turn holds a new surprise. It's a thrilling journey that keeps you guessing and leaves you wanting more. So if you're a fan of thrillers that keep you on the edge, that make you question everything, then 20 Years Later is a book you simply can't afford to miss. Sounds intriguing, doesn't it? Now, let's delve into the main points of our review. The first thing to note about 20 Years Later is its remarkable storytelling technique. Diving into the main points of our review, the storytelling in this thriller is a masterclass in suspense and intrigue. The author's writing style is distinctive and full of depth, effortlessly weaving together elements of mystery and suspense. The narrative structure is well thought out, with each chapter building on the last, drawing us deeper into the story and keeping us on the edge of our seats. The book also excels in its character development. Each character is well-rounded, with their own unique personality, backstory, and motivations. The author does a fabulous job of making us feel connected to these characters, making their triumphs our triumphs and their struggles our struggles. As the story unfolds, we see the characters evolve, making mistakes, learning, and growing in a way that feels organic and believable. Let's move on to the pacing of the plot. In a thriller like 20 Years Later, pacing is crucial. Too fast and the story can feel rushed, leaving no room for suspense to build. Too slow and the energy can lag, causing the audience to lose interest. Thankfully, 20 Years Later hits the sweet spot. The pacing is just right, with a steady buildup of tension and suspense that keeps you turning the pages, eager to find out what happens next. What about the overall impact of the book? Well, 20 Years Later is the kind of book that stays with you long after you've turned the last page. It's a thought-provoking exploration of human nature, and the lengths people will go to when pushed to their limits. It's a book that challenges you, makes you think, and leaves a profound impact. Now, no book is perfect, and 20 Years Later is no exception. While it has many strengths, there are a few areas for improvement. For instance, while the character development is generally excellent, there are a few secondary characters who could have been fleshed out more. Additionally, while the pacing is mostly spot on, there are a few spots where the story slows down a bit too much. That being said, the strengths of 20 Years Later far outweigh its weaknesses. It's a well-written, engaging thriller that will keep you hooked from the first page to the last. It's a book that will make you feel, make you think, and leave you eagerly awaiting the author's next work. Now that we've covered the main points, let's wrap up with our final thoughts. So, would the book review crew recommend 20 Years Later? Absolutely! This thriller is an incredible journey that keeps the reader on their toes from start to finish. It's a book that demands your attention, not only because of the thrilling plot, but also due to its well-crafted characters and the unexpected twists and turns. The narrative is so captivating that you'll find yourself constantly guessing, trying to unravel the mystery before it unfolds. As for our overall rating, 20 Years Later is definitely a solid 4.5 out of 5. It's a strong contender in the thriller genre, standing out because of its unique plot and the author's skill in creating suspense and intrigue. It's not just a book, it's an experience that immerses you into a world of suspense, mystery, and thrill. If you're a fan of thrillers or mysteries, or even if you're just looking for a good book to get lost in, 20 Years Later is a fantastic choice. It's a book that will keep you engaged from the first page to the last, leaving you wanting more. However, it's not just for the thriller aficionados. 20 Years Later is also a great pick for anyone who enjoys a good story, regardless of the genre. The book has a universal appeal, thanks to its relatable characters, gripping plot, and the emotional depth that it offers. But don't just take our word for it. We encourage you to dive into it 20 years later and form your own opinions. Reading is a subjective experience, and what we found fascinating and engaging may resonate differently with you. In the end, the beauty of books lies in their ability to transport us into different worlds, offer new perspectives, and stimulate our imaginations. 20 Years Later does all of this and more. It's a worthwhile read that deserves a spot on your bookshelf. Remember, the joy of reading comes from exploring new worlds and perspectives, so give 20 Years Later a chance. That brings us to the end of our review of 20 Years Later. We hope you found it insightful. We dove into the depths of this thrilling narrative, explored its intriguing characters, and marveled at the twists and turns that kept us on the edge of our seats. Now we'd love to hear from you. What's that one book that left you spellbound? The one you couldn't put down until the very last page was turned? The beauty of reading is that it's a journey we share, no matter how different our paths may be. So go ahead, type your favorite book in the comments below. Let's create a chain of stories that bind us all together. Before you leave, remember to hit that subscribe button. You wouldn't want to miss out on our next review, would you? And if you enjoyed today's video, why not share it with your fellow book lovers? Let's create a community where we can explore worlds, live 1,000 lives, and unravel mysteries together, one book at a time. Lastly, give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's journey. It helps us reach more like-minded people and keeps us motivated to bring more book reviews your way. Thank you for spending your time with us today. We appreciate your support and look forward to our next literary adventure together. Don't forget to type your favorite book in the comments below. And remember, like, subscribe, and share with your fellow book lovers. Until next time, happy reading!